So in C sharp, we basically have 4 kind of loops. Okay, one is basically for, second is while, third is do while, and fourth is for each. Okay, so we have these 4 loops in order to implement the repetition of a statement. So in each and every loop, okay, 3 things are common. Okay, first is initialization. So what is initialization actually? In order to start a loop, okay, in order to start the repetition of statements, you have to start it from somewhere. So what will be the initialization part? So let's say if I want to accept the let's say 5 numbers, so I have to start basically from I equal to 1, means because we have to repeat the logic of accepting and print basically a certain number 5 times. So we have to start it from somewhere. So I'm going to start from 1. So this is called basically initialization. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we have test condition. Test condition means it will basically yep. So it will decide till which or how many times the loop is going to run, because there is a certain amount of repetition, right? Let's say if we want to accept 5 numbers, so the loop should run like 5 times. So I have to define a condition over here, the test condition, uh, till what the loop should run. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the third is basically increment decrement. So how this is going to be possible, that we are going to start from 1 and then we have to reach to basically 5. So the thing is that in using increment decrement, we can go from 1 to 5, right? It will increment let's say by 1 each and every time. So I equal to I plus 1 we can take, or I plus plus we can take. Okay. So these 3 are basically the common factors that are available in each and every loop. So initialization, test condition, and increment decrement. So I think I'm clear till now.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we are going to put all the things in a logic using the for loop, using the while loop, using the do while loop. Only the syntax is going to change, but these 3 things going to be the same in each and every type of loop, because as I've already told you that in each and every loop these 3 things should be available. So for example, if I talk about the for loop first, so in the for loop, the syntax is going to be something like this: for and int I equals to, let's say 1, I should be less than equal to 5, and I plus plus. Okay, so if you see, these 3 things, initialization, test condition, and increment decrement, are available over here, but in a single line, as you can see, right? And then this is known as the body of the loop. Means till the time this loop is running, till the time we are having the condition true, this test condition true, this body of the loop is going to run each and every time. So the statements that we are going to we want that it should be repeated, so we have to put all those statements in this body of the loop, right? Okay. And one more thing, that whenever we are dealing with the loop, so according to a particular scenario, it should be clear that what lines we are going to put inside a loop and what lines we are going to print outside the loop. Because let's say if we print each and everything inside the loop, so each and every line should be will going to be repeated. So we have to take care of that. So it basically depends scenario to scenario, which lines needs to be inside the body of the loop or which line should be outside the loop. Okay, so we are going to do a lot of questions on loops. So each and every time you will see that some lines are inside the loop and some lines are outside the loop. So according to a particular scenario, it will be decided that which line we are going to put inside or outside the loop. Okay. Okay, so this is basically a syntax of for loop. Now we have to use while loop sometimes. Okay, so what is the syntax of while? So like I said, initialization, test condition, and increment decrement, these 3 factors needs to be same in each and every loop. So initialization, in while loop, initialization is done basically outside the loop. Let's say int I equal to 1, then the test condition will be defined with the loop. Let's say I is less than equal to 5, and the increment decrement part is going to be defined in the body of the loop. Okay. Yeah. So this is the syntax of while loop. So if you see the three things that I talked about, that is initialization, test condition, and increment decrement, all these three things are basically there, but the syntax is different. As you can see, in while loop we have basically defined in some things are basically outside the loop, some things are inside the loop, but in for, as you can see, it's basically in a single line. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what is basically do while loop and what is basically your for each loop? So we are going to discuss after we are familiar with we become familiar with for and while loop. So straight away we are going to implement this same logic that I just explained. We have to accept basically three variables, or let's say five values, and we have to print the average and sum of those values. So but not using five variables, but we have to use a loop. Okay. So using loop, basically we just need three variables. Okay. So we just need three variables in order to complete this particular task. Whereas in without loop, we have to use basically five, or let's say six variables might be, to complete this particular task. So how we are going to implement this using a loop? So first of all, we have to decide which line is going to be inside the loop and which line is going to be outside the loop. So first of all, we have to accept five numbers. So in order to accept the number, we have to print, first of all, we have to give a prompt to a user that please enter a number. So that line could be inside the loop or that could be outside the loop. It doesn't matter. Okay, because if you're going to put inside the loop, so that line is going to be repeated over like five times. So we are going to start the loop from 1 and then I should be less than equal to 5, I plus plus, and this is the body of the loop. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to print the message basically outside the loop, console.write line, please enter the values. Okay, or let's say please enter five values rather. Okay, so now this prompt is going to be displayed to the user, and then we have this loop, and in order to accept the values, okay, in order to accept the values, we have to declare basically a variable, and we have to take values inside the loop, because we want that the values should be taken inside the loop, so that it can be so that we can take basically five values in a variable. Okay, because if we put inside the loop, so the loop is going to run like five times, and we are going to accept the five values. Okay, so we have to use that statement int, let's say n equal to convert dot to int 32 console dot read line. Okay, yeah. So now if you see over here, we have taken the value, as you can see, okay, in the variable n. Okay,
Yeah.
now the logic was to calculate the sum and the average. So now we are going to take five values, but if you see the variable is only single, so obviously each and every time the value is going to be overwrite. Okay, so how we are going to get the sum of all those five values using a single variable? So for that we are going to declare basically a variable, let's say sum equal to 0, and let's say we should write over here sum equal to sum plus n. So how this entire logic is going to be executed? So first of all, I is equal to 1, I should be less than 5. It is less than 5, so the condition is true. It will enter, the control will enter in the body of the loop, and as the statement, as you can see, that it will accept a value in a variable n, and then this line is going to be executed. So it is sum equal to sum plus n. So sum contains 0, right? As we have defined earlier, value is 0, and 0 plus n would be n. So let's say if we enter 10 first time, so the sum will contain value 10. Okay, then the value of the, as there is no other line left over here, so it will basically going to increment the value of I. So the value of I will become 2. 2 is less than equal to 5. It is true. It will come again in the body of the loop, and then in the variable n you will be entering basically one more value. So it's, let's say it's 20. So n will be n will get 20 and sum equal to sum plus n, so sum is 10 as we have entered basically 10 last time. So 10 plus 20 is 30, then again 30 plus the next number, and then this is how it's going to add basically the value that we are going to enter into the value that we have already entered. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to again put basically a breakpoint over here, and you will see yourself that the flow of the execution. So let me just complete this program. So after this condition will be false, after I will become 6, so this particular condition is going to be false. So when this particular condition is going to be false, you are basically outside the loop now. Okay, so then we have to use basically a variable average over here, and we are going to do like sum divided by 5. So after sum divided by 5, because when we will basically outside the loop, so this sum will containing certain value, certain certain basically addition of all the 5 numbers that we have entered, and then int average equal to sum divided by 5 means that we are going to print we are going to get the average, and then we just need to use console.writeLine statement, sum equals to, and then sum. I think we have already discussed regarding this, the particular the way that we print the values, right?
Yeah.
And the console.writeLine, let's say average equals to average, yeah, and then console.readline, of course. Okay, so as you can see that we have we just need to put a closing bracket over here. Now we have defined the logic over here, and now we are going to add basically a breakpoint over here. So when we execute this, so as you can see, this is basically the line on which the control is currently on. So we have to use F10 key. So using F10, it will going to execute the next line, and please enter the 5 values. Now sum is equal to 0, then int I equal to 1, I is less than equal to 5, condition true, it will go basically in the body of the loop, and then it will basically ask you to enter a value. So in n you have to enter a value. So let's say we have used, let's say 90. Okay, so I've entered 90, so sum equal to sum plus n. So right now the value of n is basically 90 and the value of sum is basically 0, as we have defined 0 earlier. So now sum will become 90, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So now if I move my pointer, so as you can see, sum is containing 90 right now. Okay, now because there is no other line left, so it will basically come here. So if you press F10, yeah, it is here, and then I is less than equal to 5, so again the value of I has been incremented to 2. So 2 is less than 5, the condition is true, it will again go to the body of the loop, and then it is going to again ask you to enter a number. So let's say if you have entered 80 over here, so if I enter 80, so again as you can see, it is going to print the, it is going to execute the next line, sum equal to sum plus n. So sum is already containing 90, right?
Yeah.
And 90 plus 80, it will be 170. So as you can see, if I move the pointer, the 170 is basically in the variable sum. So what is actually this logic is doing, this logic is actually adding the values, adding the new values into the previous one, and this is how we are going to get the complete sum, right? Okay, so then for the third time it's going to run, so we have to enter a value. So let me enter this time 70, and then again it's going to add the calculated sum into the new value. So as you can see, sum is 170 and the value is, let's sum plus n will become 240 actually. So again the fourth value we need to enter. So yeah, so in order to enter the fourth value, I have to type 60, and again it's going to calculate the sum in the fifth value. Yeah, let's say 50. So it's going to add, and as you can see, the value of I is now will become 6. So 6 is less than equal to 5. This condition is going to be false. So we'll basically come outside the loop. Average will be calculated. So average is 70. So now we are going to print both the values, sum and the average. Okay. I think I'm clear till now.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is basically a basic example of using a for loop.